Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian. Movie Reviews and More, the worldwide TV network, iTube 247, the Women's Broadcast TV network. And this show is always about when we march. Anything marching band, Drum and Bugle Corps, WGI related, going back to the days when we loved to do our favorite thing, which was marching in a Drum and Bugle Corps. So on the other end, who do we got at the other end? A friend of mine, what's your name?
Ismael Hermandez, otherwise AKA Ish.
All right. Ish, tell us which years you marched, what corps you march with?
I go way back 1984 through 1988. I was with the Anaheim Kingsmen. Got involved in 89 and 90 a little bit. I never marched a full tour. Did the camps with the Sacramento Freelancers. And then ended my career with the Concord Blue Devils 1990, 91. And ended with the Tour de France in 92. We were in Nice, France. And yeah, a beautiful 7 years.
Wait a minute, Blue Devils went to Nice, France?
Oh yeah, we did Carnival in February. We represented the U.S. playing Congo Valiente, La Suerte de los Tontos, and other fine pieces that Wayne had put together. We performed in the French Alps, in France, and we did a tour of Amsterdam out in Hilversum.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. Actually, I didn't know that. This is why we talk about things like that. So we're gonna work our way backwards since you're a devil for life. So talk about that. What was that like? Was it the first time for you going outside the States?
For Blue Devils? No, actually, Anaheim is where I learned what the United States was really about. Actually, I consider myself American because I got to see all the 50 states touring in 1984 as a 14-year-old from the window of a bus. And every day waking up in a different city, different town, and doing a show in front of people and absolutely loving it. So it was a great opportunity to see the country and see states and cities that you never would go to because, there's a drum corps show and we're showing up.
But this is what I would always tell people. There's always a drum corps show, but this is the only activity, the only organization where you could see in 2 months or sometimes a month and a half, see all 30, 40, almost 50 states in a summer. No other organizations do that. They don't do that in football. They don't do that in baseball. They don't do that in hockey or anything else. Only the Drum and Bugle Corps activity, because it's what you said. You could be sleeping with a 6 to 10 hour bus ride, get off the bus, be in a state, unpack all your stuff, do your run through, have a show that night, and be back on the bus. Usually, things have changed now, but talk about that experience. When you first went on tour, what were you? That was with the Kingsmen, right?
Yeah, 1984. We did, we did kind of the big shows. We opened up in Southern California, did Northern Cal shows, drums along the Rockies in Denver.
Which was always a great show to do.
Oh my God, my fondest memories of just getting on the bus fumes. I know a lot of us older guys talk about the bus fumes. I smell the bus fumes and it brings back all the memories. So when I smell bus fumes now, it reminds me of getting on the first bus and stepping on Colorado land and seeing the beauty of it. And, just saying, oh, wow, this is great. Then you got to lock your mind into, hey, we got a show tonight, time to compete. But it's so beautiful to see different places. And yeah, that's how I just started crossing, state lines. And we went to Vegas. We went to, that year, the finals was in the Yellow Jacket Stadium in Georgia Tech. Probably saw some of the greatest drum corps ever on the 50-yard line in finals performance. So definitely kickstarted my career in music entertainment. Definitely wanted to be a teacher for forever because I just saw the beauty of it. It maxed out at finals where they were just all awesome.
Well, when you aged out, and what did you play? Did you always play mellophone?
Yeah, I'm kind of proud. I've always played mellophone in the alto section, and I aged out in 91 Devils where we still played with 2 valves. I always played with 2 valves. I definitely am part of the G Bugle movement and experience, and absolutely loved it because there's one place to get a drum and bugle or bugle to play, and that was drum corps. So hats off to the Kingsmen and all the drum corps that brought us on the buses around the country and doing the tours and getting to have a fine experience. And I know why I kind of here as well. Always wanted to give back.
Anaheim always had that experience. In 1972, they won the first DCI championship. So that's always etched. Once you win the first one, that's it. It's till this day. Every couple of days, I still play that 72, 73, 74 shows. Those were those years for them. But once you've won the first one, that comes with a legacy like that. So when you guys stepped off, were your buses always breaking down too, like ours was?
I just thought that was just us, but to see
No,
the
no, no.
27th Lancers.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's
freeway.
buses broke down.
Yeah, I remember it was 1985. We did break down in the Grand Canyon of all places, and we were all getting behind the bus, pushing it, trying to get it to the side, and it's not easy to find a mechanic to fix them. So sometimes you're hunkered down for a while. And our court director at the time made us the most fabulous dinner, and I'll always remember it. He made spaghetti, and he's Italian, and he made it from scratch. Got the tomatoes, fed the whole corps. We're on the side there just waiting for a mechanic, which would take about a day for them to get there. And we just made the most of it. But that meal, hanging out with my friends, we still talk about it today. It was a beautiful meal, wonderful friendships, and those are the things that tour's about. You're always playing music with your friends, but all the things that go along with it makes you come back year after year.
It's funny about that because you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. We broke down again. You're on the side of the road, but you know what? It strengthens your friendship, but it gives you something to always talk about. It's like a badge of honor because no one did what, we did during the summers. I remember the summer where I never officially aged out. Our corps broke up. Half of them went to 27th Lancers. A couple of them went to, one person went to North Star. When North Star was around, everybody else went to Madison Scouts, and everybody else just said to hell with it. They went to Connecticut Classics. But at that point, we made the 27th drum line because we had 3 snares, center snares from our old corps. So we never knew how talented we were, but we knew we were good individually. We just couldn't get it all together as an organization because we had a lot of infighting because we were kids taken off the street. We were taught how to play music. A lot of people didn't know how to do music. But when we went on tour, if you acted up in winter camps, we would all say, just wait till tour. Because once you were on tour, there was no escaping. So anybody who acted, they got their butts kicked.
They own you. Hell yeah. You learn real quick to grow up quick. Hold your tongue because we're a long way from Kansas, Dorothy. We're in the middle of Nebraska, Ankeny, Iowa. And if you got an attitude, we can leave you. So yeah, I totally understand that. The talent levels are definitely much higher in drum corps. The thing about drum corps, you mentioned a lot of us were not rich kids, come off the streets. It was an activity to take kids off the streets, to be able to learn music, go on the road, and have wonderful experiences. I mean, you're performing in stadiums like Buffalo Stadium, Buffalo Bills Stadium. You're going to Kansas City.
Madison, you go to Camp Randall and Madison, Wisconsin.
Absolutely. So you're going to these huge venues you never get in your high school bands. And then you get to go in there, you're amongst fierce competition. But aside from that, it toughens you up. It gives you a lot of life lessons, going along the lines of money. Drum corps are always trying to put it together. They find ways to put it together to get on the road. Aside from the buses breaking down, many of us always had the food challenges. I'll never forget, and it's actually a positive thing. I know being in Marion, Ohio, getting ready for the U.S. Open, we were running out of food. So everybody only got one piece of bread, and you got peanut butter and jelly, and you put it together, and that's all you got. So we had that. At least we had that because we knew there was other groups out there that had to come to us for food. And but yeah, to think that that was your conditions and you loved it, and you better believe I'm coming back next year. Yeah, that was great. Just one piece of bread, get a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit of jelly, you're off on the road.
It's funny.
And,
it gives you those stories to talk about. It might not be funny in that moment, but it's funny because you survived that and it made you tough.
It toughened you up. You got ready to deal with life. Like right now with this whole COVID thing breaking out, you got to learn how to cope with it, change your ways, and just accept it and say, what can I do today to make a difference for myself, my family, and friends, and enjoy it because hey, this is my day. This is my day. What am I going to do with it? And I think you learned a lot about that on the road. We definitely learned a lot of technique and how to play our instruments, how to deal with people. Sometimes you can't get along with your neighbor, but you find a way because you have to. When it's time to compete, you all got to come together and, you do it together. Same uniform, same colors, and you fight. And I think that's a huge learning experience that, you don't really get from sitting at home watching Netflix.
I remember, you talked about you don't always get along with your neighbor. I remember that it was one of our early shows, and we always had the very first show in New London, Connecticut for the surfers. It was always Memorial Day weekend that was opening. So sometimes it was May 28th, or sometimes it was May 30th. Imagine that. That was the very first show of the year. The last show used to be Labor Day weekend. Imagine that. That was a longer season. So
a lot longer season.
Northeast course, because we didn't go back to school until after Labor Day. But remember, some of the southern schools, they had the schools, but we were there. And I remember George Hopkins from the cadets? Well, I marched against, Augustine. He was in Crossman in 77 as a center snare, and I was in the New London Surfers at that point. So I just remember the Northeast Circuit Championship was the last show, Labor Day weekend. And I just remember 3 days, I could hear nothing but drums in my ear ringing. And it was just the wonderful feeling. I'd never had that before. I'm like, I'm still hearing drums. I'm like, this is really cool. And then 4 days later, you go back to school. It's like you got a high and you come down like this.
Oh, it comes down quick. In fact, probably the biggest memory all of us have that's ever aged out is the moment finals night's over and the awards are given. It goes super quick. All of a sudden, you turn in your instrument, you turn in your uniforms, and half the corps is gone with their families. You don't see them again, some of them, or you might hear from them. I mean, back in our day, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, the internet. We had DCI Today, or just, or manually writing.
And you had to wait for it to be mailed to you.
Yeah. Or you have to wait till the next year's drum corps show to go meet up and have your alumni get-togethers. And that was what created a real huge camaraderie. But nowadays, I mean, having these Zoom meetings and having Facebook has definitely helped connect. But I think the personal relationship of being together, the camaraderie, there's nothing that can match that in the world, especially when you're rehearsing 8 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week with the same guy, same show, trying to win. And especially if you're having a great year, it's absolutely amazing. 30 years later, I'm still talking to my friends who are in Miami. I'm in California. And we marched together, and literally we're watching the draft together by texting, and we're together. And those friendships, like he said, are forever. And you can't get that from just any other job I've ever had. It was the greatest thing I've ever did. And in return, I just decided, I want to teach. So I taught on the side for 20 plus years. I still do.
What were you teaching?
Thing that I do. I actually only deal with the marching and the brass section. Generally, I kind of team up with a great drum instructor because, you got to have drums out there, and a wonderful color guard person, and then a good show coordinator. That's not my strengths, but on the field, visual marching, as well as musical brass sections, that's what I get involved with. And, I absolutely love it because you're shaping people's lives, you're shaping your life. And I would tell people, if I was a millionaire, I'd still be on that field sweating and enjoying it. So that's why I'm kind of here today, trying to pass the word along that if you're interested in teaching, there ain't nothing else like it.
Talk nothing about like what made you go from Anaheim to the Freelancers? What was that like?
Well, most drum corps have issues with money. Anaheim at the time had folded, which means they ran out of money. They're going dark. They're not going to go out and field the drum corps to compete. And having the bug in me, and knowing you can only do it till you're 21, I wanted to make those years count. And I figured, well, the bus was coming down here in LA. They pick you up, they drive you to Sacramento. So a couple of friends of ours just got together and said, you know what, let's go up there and make them happen. So 22 of us from the Anaheim Kingsmen, when we folded, jumped on their buses, went to Sacramento, and we became their strength, their core. I remember being in the horn arch with John Zimney, and we had 94 brass players at a camp, which is pretty amazing. In a gym, we were playing wings, beautiful memories. And you know what, it was such a great thing for the talent level that we had, that Richard Oliverio built, to enhance their program and then watch them grow because they had the money to still go on the road. And that's just kind of how it is. A lot of drum corps definitely do try to find ways to finance them. It's really expensive. And unfortunately, sometimes groups fail to come out, and those kids still won't have the bug and want to perform. So you go to a more local group. And
what year was that you went up to Freelancers?
That would have been 89 and then 90. And in 90, I just decided I had already graduated. I was in college, and I said, well, I've always wanted to be a Blue Devil. So I got a call. Actually, I didn't have the guts to call. I was so nervous. I didn't think I'd make the line. A good friend of mine called Wayne Downey and passed the phone to me and said, here, he's got a spot for you. I was so nervous. He said, pack your bags, come on up, and get ready. It was April 19th, 1990 was my first day on the field, and I absolutely loved it. It was, I'll never.
What was that feeling like for you? Just that inner feeling. What was that?
Well, I mean, just as a performer, you know, you never know if you're good enough. Obviously, everyone's telling you you're good enough, go, go, go. But inside, you don't want to hear that no, or didn't make it. Maybe next year, kid. And to get there, yeah, it's a lot of nerve wracking. A lot, you know, obviously you're bringing your best game, the A game as they call it. And you get on the line and you get behind the horn arc, you start playing and you just let it free, right? Let it go. And we have wonderful instructors that had different ways of interviewing or auditioning. I had Dave Carrico actually just stand next to me and heard me playing the horn arc, just looked at me and says, you're in, kid. So it wasn't sometimes as difficult as preparing pieces and going through the whole process. They kind of knew who I was, what I used to do. And it was just a matter of me dedicating myself to moving up there, leaving everything behind, packing the bags, and literally you're going on the road. You're living up there. You don't know where you're going to stay, but they'll find you housing, and you're doing it for your love. You want to be a Blue Devil, and there you are. And that organization really takes care of you. They'll find you housing, get you to rehearsal, get you the best equipment, best instruction for the best experience. And I definitely had that with them, and I share that with everybody that I teach and inspire them to come and do.
Do you remember what it was to go on tour with Anaheim, to go on tour with Freelancers, and to go on tour with the Devils?
It was drum corps. I was at different levels. The smaller corps, you have to work harder, I would say. Like the Anaheim Kingsmen, we were a small corps, but we were really good. But we had to work hard because there's less of us. So everybody's more exposed. They can hear you. So you had to be a very strong performer, and you know you gain a lot of confidence because instead of having 14 in your section, there's 6 or 5. You can hear you, and then they spread you out. So you know you gotta be able to hold your own. It gets funner as the group gets larger. 128 piece was the largest you could be. So once you get in the full corps, you're on the road. It just changes how your experience is because it feels like nothing else. It fills you with confidence. And then when you're on the field performing and you hit the big company front, the big push, and the whole stadium just erupts and the people are on their feet, there's nothing like it. So that's the difference. The smaller chords cannot produce that kind of big sound. The big chords, especially like Concord, we could come out and just blow the doors down, and people loved us. And what an experience, you know, 10 minutes of your time on the field, you're walking off, people are clapping, cheering from Montreal, Quebec to, you know, Florida, you know, Miami, Florida, all over the country. And then to go to Europe as a last trip, and that was a great, I mean, classy organization, they did it right, and greatest trip I ever had. It was just wonderful.
What is it like to win? What's that feeling was? Because I never got a chance to march in the A Corps. What's that feeling like?
It's well, you know what? It is true. When you're in a smaller corps, you don't win a lot. In fact, you don't win much at all. Maybe in your little smaller divisions, but when you get to one of the big corps and you go on the road and you start winning, you really appreciate it because no matter what, we all work 8 a.m. to midnight, 8 to 10s, 10 to 10s. We did all those hours of work, small groups, large groups, medium groups. We all did the work. There can only be one champion. So I remember in 1990, 30 years ago, this would have been our 30th anniversary. We were winning. We were undefeated. We didn't lose one sub-caption all the way until we got to the East Coast. And it was amazing. It was like you can't be touched in the world, and everything you were doing was just right. And inside, it was incredibly rewarding as a performer, not just as an experience. As a performer, we worked really hard to get to where we're at. The cream of the crop performers, and to put that much effort out and then to finally win, there's nothing like it. In fact, because of all the years I marched and I didn't get to win with the Kingsmen or Sacramento or you know, the most crowning moment of my career was the last moment where 1991 we're on the field and they're offering the High Brass Award. So my instructor, Gino Cipriani, had the medal holding right over my head as they announced, and high brass goes to the Concord Blue Devils, and he put it right over my head at that moment. And at that moment, I had one brass. It's one thing I wanted to do with my friends, and we did it. We did it with the hardest book Devils had at the time, and I won something. And no monies, but it was, to this moment, I still tear inside. The most crowning moment, because it was the epitome of what we worked for. And to have my instructor put the medal over my head as he announced our name, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
So that's an interesting story. That's a good feeling. So did you guys know that you had won at that point, or no? Before he's putting it on?
Well, come on. It's like you can't tell the end of the story before you go watch the movie. You do movies and reviews. No, actually, you go out, you do the best you can. It's finals week, so there's a prelims, there's a quarterfinals, there's a prelims, and then there's a finals. Prelims, we won brass. Semifinals, the night before, we actually lost by 1/10 of a point. We had not lost all year.
Who'd you lose to?
And so,
Was it
the
Cavaliers?
Star of Indiana. No, the Star of Indiana had beaten us by 1/10 of a point. And honestly, that was, it shook us up for a second or two, and then it pissed us off. And we knew in the morning we have to wake up and we got to do what we've done all year, win. And that horn line, I know they have a video recording of the warm up inside the gym in Dallas, Texas. And that you woke up a sleeping giant. We were coming out to kick their ass. And that night, no, we didn't know if we won. We just know we went out and just knocked the doors down. I had a great show. I mean, personally, I just laid it out. It was my last show, and it went by in a blur. But I knew when we got to that point, I knew we were going to win. And I just needed to hear it. And then when I heard it announced over the PA and I got the medal, that's what that medal stood for to me. It meant suffering the season, winning the championship in brass with the hardest book. To this day, it's one of the hardest books Devils ever played. So it's a tremendous accomplishment. But yeah, that was winning. And that feeling, you can't get from a paycheck. You can't get from, well, maybe if you opened up a Christmas gift and you really wanted it forever as a kid. Yeah, it's that kind of feeling. And yeah, there's nothing else like it.
What's that like once you've done the retreat, you've left your shoes on the field, you come back to the buses? I always wanted to know, you see people heading off in cars, heading off to the airport, everybody is scattering, everybody's trying to get a picture because this is the last time you may see everybody or some of them ever again. What's that like? And then you're heading on the bus back home to California. What was that like?
That's a great story too. Everybody has one too. We all aged out. We all finished. That's a wonderful part. I know back in the days, when it's your last show, you're on the field, they present the awards and everyone hugs and says goodbye. If it's your last show, you leave your shoes on the field. It's called leaving your shoes on the field. I got to leave my shoes on the field. One thing I wasn't prepared for was, hey, when you're marching off the field, there's rocks we had to march over. Yeah, you're walking on it with your bare socks and your black socks, but yeah, it hurt, but it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. I was throwing my gloves out in the crowd. People were grabbing them, loving us. They loved the brass show, and to feel like a rock star. That's exactly what it felt like, because you were special. You were special because they enjoyed it, and they knew what you were doing was tough, and you did it great. And yeah, you're feeling all that going, all that emotion. You're walking on rocks with your bare feet, and it doesn't matter. You get to the buses, and then the reality hits that, oh my God, I better say goodbye to my friends before they're gone. You see a lot of parents already hugging the kids, already pulling them away. It's very sad. It's sad. It's exciting. It's sad. It's fun. I'm exhausted, drenched with sweat. But you know what? It all happens in that quick moment. And yeah, you try to grab any friend you can, take a picture, because that's all you're going to have. And most of my friends I've been in touch with, some people I haven't seen since 30 years ago. It is true. That last moment, they tell you, say bye to everybody you can, because it's going to go quick. And then next thing you know, you're on the buses in the morning coming back to California, and you got about a third of the group with you. Everybody else is gone. So it's sad. It's exciting.
What is that like when you're on that bus? You go back, certain people go back to the high school or where they're staying. What's that feeling like?
It's sad because you used to come into a full gym and you come back and it's like a third of the people are there, and you know it's over. There's no practice tomorrow. There's no getting up. There's no basics. There's just, we're getting up, we're packing up, cleaning up the gym, going on the road. you're looking around for your friends and they're not there anymore. So that's the sad part. It's no longer exciting. You know, you look at your medal, you know you got it. Your memories are yours forever, but the sadness is there. Yeah, you really a lot of performers. I know myself. We're people, and when we don't have our people around us, we miss it. And that's what makes us want to come back year after year. And I think that's what made a lot of instructors keep coming back year after year, donating their time to make these programs happen because they love the people. And it's because of the sadness. The sadness brings you back.
And then so you got that trip home. I always figured this out back in the 70s and whatevers. It would take you 3.5, 4 days if you're zooming back. Did the buses break down on the way back to California? What was that ride like?
You know, I was lucky for 7 years. I never had a breakdown coming home. We've had breakdowns along the tour, but never breakdowns coming home. And oh my God, all you want to do is come home, open up your fridge when you want to, because you can't. You know, it's a very strict military kind of setup. You know, your timing when you're rehearsing. I just want to come home, open up my fridge, grab whatever I want, eat and drink, nice cold Coca-Cola whenever I want, and sleep in my own bed. Because sleeping on buses, sleeping on gym floors, or sleeping just wherever you're at, put your head up against the wall to catch a minute or two. Oh my God. I just want to sleep in my bed, eat when I want to, and then 2 days later you're back in the rhythm because you're on band camp. And then, but yeah, what a beautiful experience. You know, you really learn how to be a great human person the best you can, and you learn how to struggle, and you learn how to struggle through it and get through it and win. And I think that's a big thing Drum Corps does for the youth. And it's just sad that they're not out this year, but hopefully they'll all be back next year. And you know, let's see what we can do to help them out.
And then so what was that feeling like when you aged out? What was that like for you?
That was momentous because I really loved it. I still love it to this day. There's no other job that you could have done to fulfill yourself. I mean, we all have dreams of being a superstar, a rock, you know, singer. You know, we're karaoke and we think we're Mariah Carey, but we're not. But in this forum, you get a chance to perform in front of 3,000 to 5,000 people on the road in New York and in Canada, all over the country, and you feel super special, and
You
you're
you
at a
are
high
rock
level.
stars. And then you come out,
Yeah,
when you age out, you're like, if you're
and
not,
when you age out,
you're like, what do you do now? It's like you're lost.
yeah, and you know what? What most people do is they come back because they miss it. Like myself, I still kept coming back, and you just find a way to stay involved. What I did was I would teach because I loved it and missed it so bad. I would teach my high schools, send the kids up there, and still be around the program. So it's kind of that thing. You got to let it go, and you got to move on. But what do you want to do? Well, I want to give people the same experience I enjoyed. So that's what I would do. I know others continue on with their careers and kind of get away from it. It's too bad, but 7 years, it's in my blood forever, and it was sad. But at the same time, you lick your wounds, you go on, and say, okay, well, um, I love it that much. What can I do to continue it on? And that's what I've done. I taught and enjoyed it, and still loved it. And I get to see my students out there wearing the blue, winning their championships, and I just know I made a difference in the world.
You also have a special thing that you do. What is that with your jacket? Why is that important and why do you do that?
Oh, that's a great one, man. Yeah, when you get to March of Drum Corps, the biggest thing you want to do is show off to your friends. Hey, man, I got an instrument. I got a G bugle because you don't, and your drum corps jacket. So once you make the line, you get to go get a drum corps jacket made. Back in those days, the Blue Devils, we were able to make it custom. So we got patches put on. We got to make it a certain way. I had a red devil. Um, I don't have the tan now, but back then my skin would get really red. So I had a red devil face and a full-size caricature on the back of my jacket. And, I got to tour. That was my jacket. You were told, never give it to your girlfriend. This is yours. No one else can wear it. It's yours. You're proud of it. That's what you wanted to show off to everybody. I got it. And when I went on tour in 92 to the European tour, Wayne Downey had taught me a lesson. I had all these little mementos, little jazz pins that we would wear. And I wanted to keep them because they were my memories. And he said, well, one thing about being a good person is learning how to give. So this little kid, we were up in the French Alps, we're doing a little standstill concert. This little kid comes up to me and he hits me with a stick. And I said, hey, man, that kid just hit me. He says, oh, they're wishing you good luck. It's part of their carnival. He said, what you should do is you should give them one of your pins your jazz pin and give it to him. That kid will never forget it. I'm like, there's no way. So painstakingly, Wayne pulled it off of my jacket, gave it to the kid, and the kid hit me with the stick and ran off. Never saw the kid again, but he said, you know what? That kid is going to enjoy that and remember that performance forever. And at that moment, I realized he taught me how to give the most prized, I guess, possessions, if you want to call it, the jazz pin is my jacket. So every year at the Riverside show, I meet up with the alumni, or actually alumni, and then we'll go watch the warm-ups, and I'll pick one student in the horn line, and I'll let him take my jacket on tour. I said, you know, take me on tour, take a little bit of a legacy of what we're about, and you're part of a brothership. We don't know who you are, you don't know who I am, but I trust you with my most prized possession. The only thing is, at the end of the tour, give it back to me so I can give it to someone else next year. We can keep a little bit of our legacy, a little bit about what we're about, take us on the road, take me on the road. I love it so much. And it's been going on for a couple of years. I've been meeting a new student, give it to them. They love the fact that nowadays they don't have the artwork we have, but they get to see what we used to be like. And I have a lot of fun doing it, and the kids enjoy wearing it. But every year they take care of it, they give it back to me, and I give it to a new kid. And it lets them know that, hey, you know what? People trust you. I'm trusting you without even knowing you with something I'm super proud of. But I learned it that day in France when Wayne said, you gotta learn how to give, kid. And that's your most prized thing. Give it to someone you don't know, and they'll take care of you. And just building that friendship and that bond and that trust lets everyone in the line know this is what we are about, and this is what you're a part of now. And I enjoy that. And that's something that I contributed and will continue to do.
And no one's ever lost your jacket, have they?
No, and you know what? It's never been frayed. No holes in it. In fact, it seems like every time I get it back, it's in better condition. It's in great shape. They take care of it like if it was me taking care of it. And I think, you know, we all at one point grow up and we have to take care of what we own. And I gave it to a guy last year, Malik, a soloist. He's out in Jacksonville, Florida. Didn't know who it was. He didn't expect anything. I just walked up to him and said, you know, I'd be honored if you carry my jacket on the road this year. And he said, well, that's great because I don't even have a jacket for this year. So he took a couple pictures of him wearing it, you know, very proud. And, you know, I'm proud that he's proud. And, you know, I know a lot of us know about that, me giving it. That's where it all came from, you know, learning to give the most that you got, everything you got. And, you know, if you trust them, he'll come back to you. And it has. And like I said, they take good care of it. They enjoy it. It's got a beautiful devil on the back. And maybe on the next show, I'll bring it. And but a lot of people know about it. And that's really where it came from. And that's what it's really about. It's not, I don't know, there's no voodoo to it. It's just.
I didn't know that story, but I always thought that was very honorable if you do that, because I had never heard of anybody doing that. I'm like, this is really cool. I always wanted to know that story. When do you get the jacket back at the end of the season? How do you get it back?
Oh, either I'll go to finals. And, you know, because of our job constraints, sometimes we can go, sometimes we can't go. So if I go to finals, they give it back to me. We hang it all week during finals, and I got it. If I don't go to finals, then they just send it back. So Malik, I just got a Facebook post from Sonia Williams that she says, I have your jacket. She was our corps mom. She says, I have your jacket. It's up here safe in Concord. So whenever you come up, it's here for you. It's ready. So they just make sure to send it back.
That's nice.
This year with no drum corps, I got to figure out how I'm gonna go up there and get it. I never once even think twice that they're gonna damage it, lose it. You know, I don't even. It's not even a concept in my mind. And you know, I've been doing it for a number of years. And you know, I kind of took the idea from somebody else. The contrabass players, which are the tubas, big instruments, they have a T-shirt they pass down from year to year, and that T-shirt's pretty banged up. And I think next time,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they have a T-shirt they pass down from year to year, and they keep it in the line. They call it the line. So I just said, well, you know what? I don't have a T-shirt.
They actually wear it?
Yeah. I got a picture of one of the guys wearing it, Mr. Dotson, and but you know that's their thing. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do something different because I gotta do something different. So I just used my corps jacket. I mean, honestly, it's sitting in my closet. It's gaining dust. I pull it out 2 days a year. It does me no benefit. I've already gained a benefit. I'm going to pass it on. I'm going to pass myself on, and you know, pick someone to honor me and honor the old group and things we used to do, and take us on the road. So I enjoy that part. But yeah, I think drummers have some kind of they got some kind of thing going on too. But I know the contrabassists have a T-shirt they pass down. year after year. And it's just camaraderie and those friendships. I didn't even know who Malik was until that moment. But now I met a wonderful person. He was a soloist. He enjoyed having it, took pictures, and you can see the happiness in the pictures are taken. And I think it's really cool because, again, it keeps me a part of the group, something I love. And, there's nothing else like it. I mean, there's nothing like it.
What's your feelings on no one being able to march this year? No travel, no drum corps, probably no band, maybe right up until October, because we don't know. What's your feelings on that?
Well, it's just I didn't want it to come to this, but I couldn't believe it. And then at one point you realize, yeah, the groups do need about a couple months to prepare their shows to get out and compete at the level that they compete at. They're excellent. They're not like the usual high school band you're going to see. They are star performers at a very high level. So I kind of knew, no, they're not going to be able to do it. I did pick up a high school band I was going to teach out here. They were hoping to start in June, July. That doesn't look too good right now. So I'm very sad because, I was one of those kids that didn't have a whole lot growing up. So to be able to get off the street and get something to do, get on a bus and go on tour all around the country. And we had a free tour. It was a free tour. And to experience that for 6 weeks on the road, there's nothing else like it, man. I mean, and to learn how to play an instrument and to be involved with, Barbra Streisand music, learning about how Barbra Streisand is and then old, different kinds of music around people who had Juilliard backgrounds. And to really learn an activity, learn about the U.S. and America, I knew about America because I saw it. And it's sad that the people today cannot experience that, especially if you're going to do 1 year and this would have been your 1 year. You're really going to miss out on a lot because, you could travel to Hawaii, you could travel somewhere, but you're not traveling drum corps style. Drum corps style is just the drum corps guys that are tough. And, they appreciate things a lot more because, that glass of water, cold water, oh my God. I mean, we're on the field all day long in the heat, Alabama, super humidity. And, that glass of water, you learn to just appreciate every little thing. And that's one of the things that a lot of people are going to miss out on because right now we do need to toughen up. We do need to find a way to get through this COVID virus. And that's where it comes from. It comes from within. And I think that program and activity taught a lot about that.
Well, you talked about Marion, Ohio, and when I think of the hottest places for me, Marion, Ohio, the U.S. Open, I just remember this. We had bug juice. We called it bug juice because it was like Kool-Aid, and bugs were attracted to it. That's what we had to drink. This is, as you know, this is before everybody had their own containers. We would all get cups and go drink out of that. Or sometimes we would pass a bottle around and drink out of it. That's what we had because we were out in the middle of a cornfield with nothing around. It was just blazing hot. And then I just remember a sandstorm in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oh my God. I've never seen a sandstorm within 15 minutes. You got to go behind the bleachers and then it's gone. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio was the first time. I remember at night we got done rehearsing. I looked up to the sky and I heard alarms going off. I'm like, what is this? I was 14 years old. I'm like, 15 at that time. Like, what are those sounds? They're like, they're tornadoes. I'm like, what's a tornado? And I look up at the sky and I see these two huge black funnels coming, like huge towers. And I see the clouds around them going in circles around it. And I'm like, oh my God, what do? They're like, get in the basement. And I'm like, what's a basement? We don't have basements in California. They're like, run over here, kid. And it's just amazing the things that you get to experience that other people live in, and, it's the U.S. This is where we're at. So those experiences, man, I'll never forget that. I've never seen tornadoes since then, and I'll never go anywhere where there is one because seeing those funnels, huge, coming our way and the clouds going in circles, I'm like, I don't want to be that. But the big helicopter mosquitoes in Wisconsin. I remember practicing at we were down in Wisconsin getting ready for the Warhawk Stadium show, and there was
classic stadium
coming out to bite us. And I never knew what off was, right? Because didn't have to. Then they said go down and you get to break, get some off because those things will kill you. Jacksonville, Mississippi.
Oh my God,
Florida. Yeah, you get a lot of humidity. The mosquitoes come out. And I don't know, they love me. They just love my blood. And come out and bite. But yeah, things like that.
I remember the red marching ants in Oklahoma. Well, all of a sudden you're building, because you're marching, the dirt's coming up. All of a sudden these ants are coming out of no place and they would bite the hell out of you.
Yeah, you know what? Aside from the heat, because most of the tour in 91, it was hot, but 1990, 30 years ago, it rained every single day except for 3 days on tour, which is a 6-week tour. So for 6 weeks, we're basically getting rained on every day. We'd have trash bags over us at rehearsal all day because, you know, it is what it is. We're not going to not practice because it's raining. So we put on trash bags, we put on tape, make it look like a uniform, and we just made the most of it. Kind of like what people are doing nowadays with their masks. They're making it, you know, custom.
I didn't know that. That's got to be odd, but yeah, you still got to rehearse.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, they were busing people to the clinic to get shots and coming back and get back on the field. You know, it wasn't about stay home and get your cup of soup and take a nap. Oh, no. Hey, we got a bus for you. And they give you a shot and they get you back on the field and, you know, within the hour. And, you know, we were somehow following that storm the whole way across the country, all the way to Montreal, Canada. And then we came back down. And, you know, some beautiful things I always remember, which I always enjoy. You know, when I think of nature, I said, well, I saw Niagara Falls, you know. I saw the falls, and it was because of the 85 tour and being up in the Buffalo Stadium. And then we went to Montreal on a free day. So we got to enjoy the country as friends and, you know, buy some pop and get something to eat, hang out. And then the next day, you know, you're back at it practicing and trying to win. But, I mean, those experiences, you know, I just feel bad for these kids now that can't march this year and get it. But if next year happens, you better get out there and go get it, because there's a lot more to drum corps than just getting that jacket and bragging to your friends. I know how important that is, because we all want to feel special, and it's like a badge of honor. You earn it. But the things you're going to see, the experience, the friendships, those will be with you forever. Unlike regular jobs that we get, you know, we love our coworkers, but it's just never the same feeling as when I see an alumni. It just warms my heart. I mean, I got friends in Scotland, England. Yeah, we text through you know, Facebook all the time, and we're together. The moments we share together, man. You know, the days that you miss the movements, you're playing it, you mess it up, and you're doing your push-ups. We'd have to do push-ups. You know, we made a mistake, drop and do your push-ups with honor. And you know, we just did that. And I know things have changed nowadays. But yeah, I toughened you up. Hey, if you made a mistake, pay for it and get over it. Let's go.
That's right. If you made a mistake, you get your ass kicked, or you dropped and did push-ups, or both.
Yep. Yeah. Luckily, I didn't get my ass kicked. Many times there was a couple opportunities coming my way, but you just find ways to perform and just keep getting better. That's what it's about. That's why we were hurt so much. You know, some people just needed a mental adjustment and the attitude adjustment, if you will. But for the most part, you know, if you made mistakes, you did push-ups. Some guys would. What would they do? They do like they run a lap, stay in shape, just get in better shape. Sometimes people just did push-ups to straighten their arms, because holding up your instrument all day long, a 40-pound instrument for 10 hours, yeah, you're gonna get tired. So it definitely gets you in great shape, or the best shape I've ever been in my life.
Absolutely.
6% body fat. I'm like, and I'm thin, but I was 6% body fat. I could run like there was no tomorrow, and had lungs of power, and I gave it all for my blue.
Yeah. So last question. What would you do if you got a chance to go back and march one day anywhere? What stadium would you pick? Obviously, it would be Blue Devils. But if you could do it one more day, what would be the song you would play?
Well, it definitely would be Blue Devils. And I would have to say, you know, I really enjoyed, I like being in Denver. Denver was always a great show.
Yeah,
Mile
me
High
too.
Stadium. I'm going to say Mile High Stadium, but I would have to do the F-tuning warm-up is what I'd want to play, because that was the 60-second warm-up. That was one of the things I enjoyed. If you stood in front of me, I'd rip your face off. I mean, your face was coming off. Don't stand too close, because I was going to be super loud and push you back. But the best song I would play would have to be my favorite song all time, Blue Devils, is La Fiesta from Maynard Ferguson's arrangement of La Fiesta. I would die to play that one. I didn't get to play it, but I heard the Blue Devils do it in 1984 in Georgia.
Yeah.
At the finals, and that influenced me all my life. So to this day, I would do the F tuning, the warm up, do La Fiesta in Denver, Colorado, Mile High Stadium, and that would be a dream come true.
Okay. And what are you doing now?
I'm actually at a real estate office. We're going to be, once I leave here, I'm going to be working with people, just kind of what we've always done. We're going to help people qualify for home loans, purchases in the Inland Empire. Refinances is really big right now because rates are really low. So many times people don't know how mortgages work. So I'm here to kind of troubleshoot, problem solve, pre-qualify, and just hear people out and see what we can do to help people out. Many times, if we get purchases from the area, what I like to do is, we could donate money to the drum corps, local drum corps, or band programs, because the one thing is, it's a great activity, but without money, can't get them on the road. So I try to do a little bit of what I can, not just to give back to our alumni, but any other groups that are, trying to get started or are started and need funds. Instruments, drums, as you know, you're a drummer, very expensive. To get a drum line, it's 50 grand. Okay, who's got 50 grand sitting around? Okay,
Yeah.
now you have the 50 grand, get your drum line, now you need a horn line. That's another 180,000 for the brass. Oh, you need a color guard, you need dancers, you need uniforms, you need buses, you need big rigs, you got to feed the kids. So as the costs go up, people like you and myself, we're going to try to find ways to raise money for people. The one way I know how to do it is to do what I know how to do now, which is mortgages and real estate. So I'm out here in the Inland Empire today to help a lot of people out.
Give you a social media link so people want to reach out to you.
Social media link. Well, I don't know. My Facebook is is Ismael Hermandez. You'll see me there. I'm a Niner fan, so if you see a 49er fan with a little cake in front of them, that's me. I'm also currently with Ladera Lending, and but if you always want to reach me, especially alumni, call me. Don't have to run your credit. We can just talk about what it is you want to do, and we figure it out. If it works, we can do it. If not, hey, at least you're not getting the team. Most companies will want to run your credit before they talk to you. I don't need to. I'm a friendly face. I'm a friendly person. So call my cell at 626-324-2348. Let's talk. Let's see who we can help out together.
All right. Ismael Hermandez, Anaheim Kingsmen, Sacramento Freelancers, Concord Blue Devils. You can't get any better than that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for your time. And yeah, you brought back a lot of good memories. And I know I rambled on a lot, but after all those years, all those friends and all those experiences, there's a lot to say. And definitely, let's get to work and let's see what kind of money we can make. I do partner up with people that help people get equipment. And that's one of the things I'm doing for a high school out here in the Inland Empire. I'm donating my time to teach. And well, nothing's ever free. So he's got to take me out to In-N-Out and give me a shake. And that's my salary for the year. But to be able to give back to those kids and to build it, and our goal is to win. And winning is always improvement. If you improve, you've won. And that's my goal. Yeah, we're going to raise some money. We're going to get them. We're going to get them out there. And we got them new instruments. I think they were delivered last week. We got a couple more coming in. So God willing, we can start camp in late June. We're going to pick a show, and hopefully they let us do it. And if so, we get to enrich a lot of young kids' lives and do what we should be doing and help others.
I agree with that. And I'm Brian Sebastian, and you've been watching When We Used to March. I really like this show like this because it gives the individual point of view of what it was like. We both picked Denver, Mile High, and then Boulder, Colorado. I mean, just because of a beautiful setting. But, oh my God, just great times. So for Movie Reviews and More, the Women's Broadcast TV Network, IT247, we will see you next week. And we will have Chicks with Sticks coming up, the 4 original girls who marked in 1980.
Chicks with
Sticks. Different corps. You can imagine that. And it's a world famous photo. We got them next week. And then we're going to have Ish coming back with one of our friends, Heather, and probably another person with that too, to talk about what it's like for her to teach. That'll be interesting, won't it?
Oh yeah, Heather's a great gal. She was a little sick today. She stayed home, just taking care of herself. But yeah, she's a chick with sticks. And just to expound on that, I mean, there's not a lot of girls that march in drum lines because there's just not a lot of tough chicks. So the girls we're going to get to interview and talk to, they went through it, they made it, and they were great. And Heather is one of those gals out here. She's in Phoenix, but she gets involved with a lot of youth groups, drum corps, the high schools, always promoting equipment to get other kids to get the drum in their hand instead of a gun. and you know, we are making a difference. And hopefully she's feeling better next week, and we can talk to her then.
All right.
All right. Well, have a good night, and their stuff was nice.